I admire Bertrand because he's an absolutely incredible engineer that I met in Los Angeles 4 years ago, and he had built a headset. Il avait construit un casque qui était virtual reality and augmented reality, both. And so. And what happened is that when I saw it, I was very impressed. It was incredible, and it was very, very early. He had done it by himself, and then a year later, Apple bought his company, Virvana.
Voilà.
So he's a core engineer. He's the guy who literally built it. I thought it would be amazing to have him and talk about the headsets.
Oui, donc dans cette transformation qui mène en tout cas les étapes du métaverse, il y a effectivement la question des devices, et l'histoire de Bertrand Nepveu est assez exceptionnelle. C'est un vrai geek,
voilà.
Core engineer, comme tu as dit, ouais. Qui a travaillé et développé le casque tout seul, le sien.
Oui, le sien.
Puis, tout le monde se pose la question de ce que va faire Apple. Il n'a pas le droit de dire ce que va faire Apple.
Je pense qu'il ne mentionne même pas Apple.
Voilà,
ouais.
il mentionne. Mais il faut savoir que sa société a été achetée pour plusieurs dizaines de millions de dollars par Apple, assez discrètement. Ouais. Et il a accepté de te parler parce que.
Il a accepté de parler, ouais, parce qu'on voilà.
On va écouter son interview, puis on reviendra dessus avec toi, Irène.
For the invitation. My name is Bertand Nepveu. So I'm
Le son n'est pas génial, on peut mettre un peu plus fort. Il est français, Nepveu?
Started
Canadien.
A company called Virvana in 2005. Why start a company in 2005? Well, I mean, I was a hardcore gamer since like the ColecoVision and Nintendo and the Power Glove and all that. So since a very young age, I wanted to be inside the games that I love so much instead of just playing on the screen. So in 2005, that's when we started the Virvana adventure. And it took us like 12 years to win the Best in Show at CES. So we went from a VR headset for the Xbox up to a mixed reality headset where you could switch from VR to AR on the same device.
Pour les gens qui s'intéressent à notre industrie, il a commencé très 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 tôt, juste parce qu'il voulait rentrer dans les jeux vidéo. Oups, c'est pas le bon. La compagnie, c'est Virvana. Hein.
And one really cool experience that I did lately was, so I used to go physically at Burning Man for the past few years. And of course, because of the pandemic, you know, they canceled it, but they did on Outspace VR a virtual Burning Man, and it was a really interesting experience for me because I think the first day I just tried it via my computer, and I was like, oh yeah, I feel like I see the same things as when I'm there, you know, and it was kind of cool. But when the next day I tried it in VR, like it was a totally different experience because, you know, the art pieces are very big there, but on the screen you don't really feel the scale of things. But then
Donc ce qui dit très très clairement, c'est la différence entre faire l'expérience de quelque chose en 2D ou en réalité virtuelle.
Et il mentionne Burning Man.
Ouais. Right. You know, it's the only medium that can create that. So once people experience the value of that, of course, they will always want to do it in VR instead of on the 2D screen. But for that, you need more and more people trying it. Right. And I think that we're seeing that. We're seeing a mass adoption of VR right now.
Donc les grandes étapes pour l'adoption.
Convenience needs to be the number one thing. Okay, right. Like even me, I'm an expert in VR, right. And like if I want to go, I don't know, try a new game, and it's on Steam, on a PC, like with a Vive, like it will work, but not seamlessly. Like right. If I haven't played a game for, I don't know, a couple weeks, and I go and there's update, like it takes always maybe 30 minutes for me to just
ouais, donc son premier sujet, c'est qu'il faut que ça soit facile. Il ne faut pas qu'il y ait des barrières pour rentrer dans l'espace VR.
So I think, each time I go back, I put the quest, it works, it updates automatically during
On
the
comprend
night,
pourquoi Apple
things
l'a
like
racheté.
that.
Ouais.
So I think this
Il a déjà la
part
philosophie.
VRA,
I think for mass adoption, it's always graphics. I think because of Hollywood movies and things
Ça, c'est
like
très
that,
important, je suis d'accord avec lui.
people, their
Les gens sont
expectations
tellement
are
habitués de la
very, very
qualité,
high.
qualité graphique du cinéma, des
What
effets
it would
spéciaux,
be.
etc. Et il dit, bon, bah, il faut que c'est ça à quoi les gens sont habitués, donc il faut qu'on arrive là.
Even on the quest, if the graphics are not that amazing, they'll love it, no problem. If you have someone who's not a geek and like wants to travel or whatever, if you put the headset and it feels not natural, then they might say, oh, I'll wait. So I think like now that the mobile part is kind of done, with tracking, the wires, all that, I think that, like you said, like the graphics needs to be maybe 2 or 3 times better. But to get there, you can either like go brute force and just have a bigger GPU, but I mean that means Moore's law and maybe 3-4 years.
Right.
But the great thing about a VR headset is that what you're doing is you're messing with the brain. You're trying to fool the brain. Through
Voilà, on essaye de transformer, de manipuler, de fool the brain,
Ouais, complètement.
that is real.
De retourner.
de
So
retourner.
the more we learn about, and we already know a lot, but the more we learn how the brain process all those
Et on pense aussi que c'est pas que dans le casque finalement, ça fera partie des lunettes ou des
Ouais.
outils.
Grâce à la 5G, ouais.
Grâce à la 5G.
And that requires a lot of power to do some little brain tricks to reduce the compute and still deliver an amazing graphical experience. One component of that has been done for a few years is full-vivid rendering. So you track the eye.
Il est volubile, hein. Vas-y.
Ouais, alors ça c'est très technique, c'est un peu compliqué. C'est que les casques les plus avancés ne font du réalisme que exactement dans un cône de vision des pupilles. Et plus la zone périphérique autour de ça est calculée en résolution moindre. Le cerveau ne s'en rend pas compte, c'est normal, mais ça permet d'augmenter énormément la qualité.
C'est pour les lunettes plus que pour
C'est
les...
pour les lunettes, 100% pour les lunettes. C'est une solution technique pour pouvoir augmenter énormément la qualité avec la même puissance de calcul.
Of the metaverse and VR.
Alors comment faire?
That's a great question. I think like people tend to think that to solve new problems, you need to throw tons of resources on it. And we have a little history about that is flying, There was when the first companies, there was a race to do the first plane.
L'analogie est assez forte, il compare la course au casque avec la course à l'aviation. C'est pas forcément le maximum de ressources qui gagnent.
Exactement. Et c'est très très inspirant pour les gens, y compris pour Garou et d'autres sociétés comme ça, c'est-à-dire que, et c'était son cas à lui, il parle d'expérience, c'est-à-dire c'est pas la quantité d'argent, pas que, pas au début.
En l'entendant, on voit bien qu'il s'agit d'une nouvelle révolution industrielle.
If you go back, it had the best NVIDIA graphic on the planet way back in 2005. Now it's a bit different, but way back, like they were pushing for that. So that was kind of okay, now we have like the building blocks to try to do this, but it took us like to really have something like that could be proud of, it took like, I don't know, 10 years.
10 ans de boulot. Hein.
From 2005,
10 ans pour être content du premier casque.
2015, it was trial and errors and lots of failures, but we were a very small team. We were like 4 people.
J'étais 4.
For so long on like
sans salaire.
no salary.
Sans salaire.
So there was no pressure to deliver something. Like if you work at a big company like Magic Leap or whatever, you know,
Il parle des
you have so
concurrents
much
qui avaient des
pressure
moyens
in a year
considérables.
to
Magic Leap.
deliver it. As for us, it was like, okay, we need to find the right technology. And then it took 10 years, but then when the blocks were there, like we grew the team to about a dozen, like top of the line engineer. Like I found out this like at other company. Like it's better to have one really great engineer than 5 like average. You know, they're not bad,
Right.
but like one really great engineer will decuplate like the creativity, the how you connect. Like it was a bit like you know, when they started Apple, Steve Jobs and Wozniak, you know, Wozniak was able to use.
C'est vrai qu'il fait mention à Wozniak, on sent la même
Oui.
vibe.
Oui, tout à fait.
No, it's not always like brute force. It's a cleverest way to connect maybe chips that are not meant for that. You know, VR was a bit like that at the beginning.
Right.
It was let's take off-the-shelf parts that are for cell phone, that are for the Wii controller, whatever, and put them together in a clever way to show the potential and like how it can be great. So I think that was what we did great, is like take the best parts and put them together in a clever way. But then after that, you know, you need to scale things, and that's when
Voilà, le passage à l'échelle, c'est le point clé. Il ne s'agit pas simplement de faire un truc cool et sympa. Le vrai test, c'est quand ça peut grandir.
Lui, il l'a amené jusqu'à ce que ça puisse aller en production de masse. Et ensuite, il est parti chez un gros tech player.
Because of the recall, we now know I think there's 3 or 4 millions of them. So that's an amazing achievement from Facebook. And now, like, even my
Il est resté plusieurs années chez Apple.
4 ans, presque 4 ans chez Apple.
you know, I tell them like buy this, they try it, they love it. It makes it very simple. But to simplify something great takes a lot of work in engineering. Something that we couldn't have done as a small
Je crois que c'est
company.
fini là.
But at least we showed that it was possible to mix AR and VR in the same headset.
Ouais, ce qui est important, c'est qu'effectivement, Bertrand, en 1917, après avoir commencé en 2005, avait créé un casque qui pouvait switcher entre VR et AR. Et ce qui est fascinant de voir, c'est que, comme il disait, en fait, c'est pas toujours brute force, c'est-à-dire c'est pas les millions que tu as investis dedans, c'est vraiment d'être clever. Magic Leap sont toujours avec 1 milliard plus d'investissement et sont toujours en train d'essayer de le faire.
Et lui, il a été récupéré, il dit to simplify, pour simplifier quelque chose de complexe, c'est pas forcément la puissance
voilà, c'est ça,
qui gagne, c'est le talent en fait.
Ouais, c'est talent. Hein,
c'est talent.
C'est pour ça que j'admire énormément. C'est extraordinaire.
Aussi parler pendant tous les jours, il n'y a que le talent qui fait la différence. La technologie peut peut-être l'augmenter, mais c'est que le talent des artistes ou des ingénieurs.
Jusqu'à un point. Hein. Comme il disait, après, à partir de ça, passage à l'échelle.
Et ça, c'était
Infrastructure.
Ouais.